Nancy Herring from Now We're Cooking. It's Tuesday, so it's time for tips, tricks, and treats. And today we're making Spanakopita. And depending on who you know, it's either Spanakopita or Spanakopita. And honestly, I've heard it both ways from Greek people and non-Greek people. It's basically spinach pie. And the way we're doing it is an easier method. And the reason it's easier is instead of making the layers in a large rectangular baking dish or making the little triangles, we're going to do it as an open face pie. So what I've already got going, I have sauteed some onions, a little bit of garlic, and spinach. And I used frozen spinach because it's easy, and I didn't, if you use fresh spinach, you get a lot of fresh spinach, and when you cook it, it just goes, sucks it down. So that's one of the reasons not to use it unless you have an abundance of it. What I have in here, the recipe doesn't call for an egg, but when I made it yesterday, I thought an egg might help bind it a little bit. So I have one beaten egg, I have some cottage cheese, and I have a bunch of feta cheese. And I'm gonna mix everything with the spinach. In terms of spices, I'm using a product that's called Greek seasoning. It's really oregano, a little mint, a little nutmeg, and some red pepper flakes. So you can use it or not. It's just kind of nice to have it all together so I don't have to do everything separately. I'm also going to add, just because it's the way I've had it before, a little bit of dill. If I had fresh dill, I would most certainly put it in, but I don't have fresh dill. And I want a little extra nutmeg, so I'm using my handy dandy microplane grater and a nutmeg and just grating a little bit more in there. So now I want to get these out of the way. Blend all of this. This is the doesn't take too much time business. You just, as I say, chop the onion, saute it, crush your garlic, and put your cheeses in here. So I want to get this all mixed up. So what am I going to do with this? I'm going to put it in phyllo dough. Phyllo dough is a extremely thin, almost paper thin dough. I've made it once with one of my friends when we were in high school, and holy Toledo. You cover your dining room table with a sheet, and you make this dough, and you drag it, and you drag it, and you drag it, and it's fun, but I would only do it one time. So you buy phyllo dough in the frozen department at the grocery store, the freezer case, usually with the like frozen pie dough and puff pastry and stuff. Puff pastry and phyllo are not interchangeable, so pay attention to what you're buying. And it also dries out super fast. So what you're gonna do is you're making, they said, put your sheet vertically, which to me meant like this. Lay 2 sheets out on your baking sheet. It's super easy to clean up if you use a silicone baking mat or parchment paper. So you do 2 sheets, and then you smear melted butter all over them, and then you take 2 more sheets. If they have a hole in them, that's okay, because you can just blend, you can just sort of glue it together with your melted butter. I'm using a silicone pastry brush, which is very easy to clean up afterwards. You can use whatever kind you prefer. And I'm just trying to slash as much butter. I want the edges most particularly because that's what's going to fold over. There are 2 packages of dough in that box. And so this is 1 package, and you keep going till you're tired. They say to use the whole pack. I did not use the whole pack yesterday, and I thought it turned out just fine. So what I'm trying to do is make the center and then borders, because I'm going to take our spinach mixture and I'm going to put it inside, and then I'm going to partially fold the edges over it. So I don't need to encase it. If you're doing it in a 9x13, you would do, or a larger pan like that, you would make these layers, make a whole bunch of layers in your rectangular baking dish, and then you would add your spinach filling, and then you'd add a whole bunch more layers on the top. And sometimes I have a Greek friend, and she used to put a little bit of breadcrumbs sometimes between the layers to make them flakier. Because this is considered easy, a lot of those steps, we're just not going to do them. So I think I'm going to do 1 more layer on top of this, and I want to keep those edges. And if the edges get a little crunchy, Just gonna put more butter on them at the end. I melted about a stick of butter, and part of my reason to not go further with this is I don't want to stop and melt any more butter. Yesterday I melted butter in the microwave, and today I did it in a saucepan, and I think the saucepan holds it melted for longer, if that makes sense. So, because in the microwave I kept having to stop and stir and keep it from popping. So I've got all these nice layers of phyllo and butter. This is why it's so nice to have a cover on your baking sheet, because you're not gonna have as much to clean up. And what I wanna do is go back through and make sure I stirred everything well. And I'm gonna put this in the center and spread it out so it's kind of an even height. I'm making kind of a galette out of, whoop, spilled a little bit there. Just throw that in there. So, I'm only gonna fold it over partially. Actually, I'm gonna save one little nubbin to show you another way. So I'm gonna save that little bite for something. I'm gonna show you one other thing. So I want to get this kind of spread out evenly within my phyllo. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just take this and turn it up and fold and turn, and if I need some more butter in there, kind of glue everything together. That's why I have more butter. Okay, and then I'm going to fold, and it's such a flaky pastry that even if you have a large fold of it, it's still going to be delicious. So fold. I don't want it to be covered totally. I want the spinach to show through. So I can fold under if I want to. It's very forgiving in this regard. So I want to glue it all together. Now, the reason I saved out a little bit of filling, if you have more patience than I have at this point in time, another common way to do it is to make little triangles. So if I took I'm gonna do 2 sheets. Instead of cutting them in strips, I'm going to fold it. I'm gonna put some butter on it. Not a lot, because again, I don't have a lot of butter left. I just want some butter. And what I'm gonna do is do a triangle pocket, and think of the way you've seen a flag being folded, a ceremonial folding of a flag. You want to put the spinach mixture and then you want to fold it in a triangle, and then fold it again, and another triangle, and another, and another. And then, again, I'm going to move this a little bit. Put more melted butter on the top. And if you're doing them for a cocktail party or something, that's a great way to do them. It just takes a little bit more time. So any little last bit of butter. Then I'm going to pop this in an oven, kind of a hot oven, about 400 degrees, and bake it for about 25 minutes. And it will be brown and the filling will be set. So this extra piece, I have a single sheet, and honest goodness, I'm gonna throw it away because it's not tasty on its own, and I don't have anything else to fill it with. So let me show you. And I will confess, I made one yesterday, and of course we had to taste it. So this is how pretty it looks when it comes out. And you see how flaky the layers are. You cut into it like a pie. Oh my gosh, it's so tasty. But the other thing we did yesterday because I had, again, more phyllo dough. And I also had a bunch of apples. So I sauteed some apples with a little butter and cinnamon and sugar. And I did a couple of pretty nice looking triangles, and then a couple where I just couldn't triangle them at all. I don't know what was going on. So I just put them in there and rolled it, just folded it over. But these have apples in them. So it's a real fun way to put things. You can put anything in them, but this is a more traditional way. So spinach, feta, cottage cheese, some seasonings, an egg. Layer your phyllo dough, brush butter over it, and keep layering it kind of in a clock pattern, and then put your filling in the middle, close it up, put it in the oven. So we put out some utensils. Most of this is everyday things: a skillet, a cookie sheet, a strainer, because when you use frozen spinach and you let it thaw, there's a lot of moisture in it. So you want to strain it and get as much moisture out of it as possible. So it's a fun, easy dinner this time of year. It's fun to have and make a little salad and you're done. So if your kids don't want to eat spinach, you can call it something different. Call it Greek pie, because there's enough cheese in it, they'll probably eat it anyway. So Spanakopita for you and for me. I'm Nancy Herring at Now We're Cooking. We're open Monday through Saturday from 11 to 4. We hope you'll come by and see what's happening in our store, and we hope you have a lovely week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next go around. Bye now.